They took the train, they took the bus. Delegates from the 10th Assembly of the World Council of Churches visited their Korean host. I'm Angelique Walker-Smith, and this is Madang. I am on the train between Seoul and Busan. In our program, we look at
the Archbishop of Canterbury visits the assembly in Busan. Delegates visit cultural sites in and around Busan and Seoul. And the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism has their plenary session today.
Let's now look at the news. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, was in Busan on Friday.
He attended the Asia plenary and used the opportunity to call the churches to action. He called on them to support and love those who suffer, just as Christ has done.
And I am enjoying a sense of wonder at my tiny place among God's great church.
Delegates took to the streets of Seoul and Busan on Saturday.
They visited sites and programs as far as the border of North Korea and the wetlands in the south. Koreans shared with them their stories of economic development and the role the local churches, with the support of the World Council of Churches, have played to address issues of injustice.
On Sunday, delegates attended church with their Korean brothers and sisters. Here now are some sights and sounds from their visit.
이 은혜로 채우고 머리는 지식으로 채우는 균형이 돼요. 이것이 채우는 균형이 돼요. 이것이 얼마나 많았는지 몰라요. 700명, 800명, 30년을 그렇게 지나온 거예요. 다 승리예요. 다 승리예요. 우리 교회를 가지고 있는 대학이 조금 부족한.
Today is Mission Day at the Assembly. The new mission statement of the World Council of Churches will be presented to the Assembly for the first time. The mission plenary is taking place in the auditorium of the Bexco Center. Later in the program, we bring you a special feature on the work of the Commission of World Mission and Evangelism and what they are doing. Time now for our feature section of the program, where we tell your stories. In our first story, Kimberly Ivany joined a group of about 30 delegates as they visited some of the poorer areas of Busan.
Beyond the shadow of the Bexco Center, past the sunlit windows of the Park Hyatt Hotel, there is a different side of Busan, one that you might not see if you're coming to the city to vacation. Today, a group from the World Council of Churches Assembly is going on an exposure visit. With the guidance of an interpreter, they will see 5 neighborhoods that illustrate poverty.
So we'll get to the first village by 10:30.
About 18 kilometers from Bexco,
You can leave your baggage here.
that first village is called Gamchun.
I was expecting poverty as extreme poverty.
It does make me wonder if this really is the poor community in Korea, in Busan.
As you begin walking into the neighborhood, flower pots made of pants welcome you. A patchwork of colorful fish decorates the brick wall a little further down the road. Around the corner, you can buy some handmade keychains hanging in a window, or go inside a shop to get some ice cream. Here in the village of Maechuji, artwork paints a backdrop to hanging laundry. In the Mudam village, a woman sits beside a mural. And within these colorful mosaics, human stories. So here in this neighborhood in Busan, life is happening. People are cooking meals, they're tending to their gardens. But in Korea, this is actually considered poverty. But not so for everyone. There are some who would consider living in a neighborhood like this to be middle class. Mark Frohlein Laurent has been to Rio de Janeiro. He says the poor neighborhoods he's seen there are nothing like the ones he is touring here.
An effective sewage system, they have electricity, they have a water system.
Korea has addressed the issue of poverty in remarkable ways. Back in the Maechuji village, this man makes furniture for a living, crafting it carefully by hand, turning Korean stone into works of art. As he shapes his pieces, he also paints a picture of happiness.
가진 거는 없지만은들 다들
We have less than other people who are living other places, but we have this community hall, and so many people, all the residents here can share what we have.
없지만은 서로 베풀고 여기
I have a deep affection here because I love the residents, and they are very affectionate people, very warm people, so I want to live here.
Slowly, these neighborhoods are walking towards an image that can inspire the people who came to see them. For Madang Live, I'm Kimberly Ivan.
And now that promised story on the CWME. For years they have worked to develop a new mission statement. The statement was accepted by the Central Committee in Crete, Greece earlier, and it is presented to the Assembly at the mission plenary. We now take a look at the long road to get to this point.
When commissioners of the CWME came together in the Cook Islands early in 2013, it was to put the final touches to a document they had been preparing for 7 years. They were working on the new mission statement for the World Council of Churches.
Every organisation needs a mission statement to direct its future, to help it to define where it's come from, where it's going.
Well, we thought we needed a new mission statement precisely because the old one was getting somewhat outdated.
I'm so happy to see that the new mission statement is provoking a fresh interest in mission today.
So I think that when we have a mission statement, then we actually go back to the authentic roots of what ecumenical movement is or should be about.
It is perhaps fitting that they came to the Cook Islands. It is from here that missionaries from the London Mission Society went out to spread the gospel amongst the people of the South Pacific. Today, the South Pacific is almost exclusively Christian. One of the earliest converts was Papahia. He came here to the island of Atutaki first. From here, the gospel spread to the rest of the islands. The journey of the new mission statement has been a long one. From the very first drafts to acceptance by the Executive Committee in Crete, Greece, took 7 years. This statement replaces the one that had been in use since the late 80s. But is this new statement the final word? Is it the end of the road?
It is not the end of the road at all. It's only the beginning of a new stage of the ongoing journey.
I would like to invite all people who are interested in, who are committed to God's mission, to join in to the new direction and new concept of mission which has been produced by the new mission statement.
Amazing stories. We told you earlier about the visit of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Shinni Umbumbeyu, one of our newspaper reporters, interviewed him exclusively for Madang Live. Here now is that interview.
Archbishop, this is your first time at the WCC Assembly. What are your first impressions and why was it important for you to come?
My first impressions are just the extraordinary breadth of church that is here. And it makes me, as I said in the comments I made this morning, it makes me feel really very small and shows me, what a great church there is that God has created globally. It's really exciting. And I came because Archbishop of Canterbury always been coming, and in fact it was one of my greatest predecessors, Archbishop William Templeton, who was one of the formative influences in founding the WCC all the way back after the Second World War. Or rather, he started before the Second World War. He was dead by the end of the Second World War, but he was one of the moving spirits in the whole thing. So it's very much part of what we do.
You said you feel rather small, but you are the leader of the Anglican Communion. What role do you see yourself as the Archbishop of Canterbury and also the Anglican Communion? What role do you and the church have in global church unity?
I'm involved in trying to draw things together, facilitate, enable, encourage, develop, catalyse, that kind of role. And the Anglican Communion, I more and more see, the more I see the Communion, which I have done for many years now, one of the most exciting things about the Anglican Communion for me is that it seems in most parts of the world to have a bridge building role. It's both Catholic and Reformed, it draws people together, it has links to the state but isn't of the state, and so on and so forth. It does education on a vast scale, hospitals, and wherever it goes it tends to make links between people, to be a reconciling agent, as well as being profoundly and deeply committed to making disciples of Jesus Christ.
The face of Christianity is changing, isn't it? And it's now moving to the global south. Taking that into account, what do you think the focus and the strategy of mission and evangelism should be in the coming years?
I think it's a phenomenally profound question. First of all, actually we're just recognizing that the face of Christianity has changed. It changed some time ago. I mean, it was some years ago that someone remarked that the average Anglican is a woman in her 30s from sub-Saharan Africa. The mission is always contextual. You start with where people are. So you can't say we have this global mission strategy and impose it as a sort of template across the entire world, because it doesn't work that way. What we can say is that we have to move and continue to move to a broader leadership that reflects the 21st century and not the colonial structures of the 20th century. We have to listen to each other much more carefully, and we have to be much more imaginative in the development of partnerships and joint working to enable each other to lead in mission in the right way in different societies. I would never say, well, this is how we do mission. If you're in Egypt, there's one thing. If you're in Australia, there's another. If you're in Latin America, there's a third. If you're in Scotland or Northern Ireland or England, there's fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Mission is contextual, but it has to be, we have to bring in a new way the commitment to mission of the global church into the local, and the engagement of the local church into the global.
It from us today. Difficult to believe, but this train is traveling 300 kilometers per hour. We now leave you with some wonderful pictures from the countryside. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.